Bay Hill News Network is an internet radio. We are affiliate with Fun City Radio USA, Cancardi Radio, and Success Radio Canada and Blaze Nation Media Group. You can find Bay Hill News Network at www.bayhillnews.net.
The SPG Association of Ottawa, in collaboration with SPG Association of Massachusetts and Montreal and the National Council of SPG Associations UK, will be hosting a Zoom on Sunday, April 27th, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. UK time. Topic: going back to our roots. The screening of Gary Tuna film, crafting our indigenous memory by aptly altered. Featured, remarked by Her Excellency Ron Gilchrist, SPG's High Commissioner to Canada. Gary Tuna reflections from international presenters, a conversation on the Hub Collective Pushti project, and Ashley himself. A Q&A plus entertainment on the program, hosted by Nicole Henderson. The Zoom on April 27th is free, but you must register today at defi.com/going back to our roots screening of Gary Tuna film, or on SPG Association. See you there.
Hey, visitors from SPG Association of Ottawa, guess what? Picnic 2025 is coming your way. Mark your calendars. Join 2025 at the Chrysler Park Marina. This year, bigger, bolder, and more fun for everyone. Kids Village? Oh yeah, I'm gonna be part of that village. Bring the creativity, the fun, and the big stage moments. Food, music, culture, vibes, all day long. Don't miss out. Send us an email at vinciunitypicnic@gmail.com to stay in the loop. Vince Unity Picnic 2025. It's gonna be epic. See you there.
When in Antigua, travel with Orvin bus services between Pigot's Village and St. John's on Old Fareham Road. We also conduct island chores 7 days per week, all in comfort, style, and safety. For more information, contact Orvin Bully, 1268-764-2869. That's 1268-764-2869.
Every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. you will hear a old-time story by Vin Abbott on
BayhillNews.net.
Ladies and gentlemen,
ISR Rentals, we got you covered. Looking for clean, reliable, luxurious vehicles? We got you covered. Budget-friendly drop-off and pick-up? We got you covered. Visiting SVG or already here? We got you covered. So visit us online at rsrrentals.com or call us 1784-527-6014. At RSR Rentals, the choice is yours.
Island Style Souvenir and Clothing Store. We carry everything you need in souvenir. T-shirts in all different sizes, cap, keychains, key rings, plaques and banners, magnets, ID holders, mugs, and we even carry St. Vincent flag. And that's not all. We carry Hawaiian style t-shirts and dresses, handbags with matching scarves. We also carry tie-dye dresses, shirts, and tops. Everything in our store are made right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So come on over and check us out. We are located at the cruise ship berth in Kingston, Island Style.
Network presents Inside Health, a 30-minute program in which we explore the human body and functions. We'll share real-life stories of the latest in medical science as we look at related diseases, conditions, and determinants of health that affect quality of life.
So join me, Vin Abbott, on Wednesday evenings from 8:30
for Inside Health on Bay Hill News Net, also on CancardiRadio.info.
Bay Hill News Network is an internet radio. We are affiliate with Fun City Radio USA, Cancardi Radio, and Success Radio Canada and Blaze Nation Media Group. You can find Bay Hill News Network at www.bayhillnews.net.
Traveling to St. Vincent, need to get around? Crystal Connection Car Rental, telephone 1784-529-9120 or email crystaldanielle91@gmail.com. Book your economy rental car today.
It's the Vin Abbott Show with news, views, and interviews. The music in the mix on Saturdays, 4 p.m. Cancardi Radio. You can now order your roti skins from Des Tasty Treats and Roti Skins at telephone 1784-528-2979 or pick up Des Tasty Treats and Roti Skins at Randy's Supermarket. More products are coming soon from Des Tasty Treats and Roti Skins.
Ladies and gentlemen,
ISR Rentals, we got you covered. Looking for clean, reliable, luxurious vehicles? We got you covered. Budget friendly, drop off and pick up? We got you covered. Visiting SVG or already here? We got you covered. So visit us online at rsrrentals.com or call us 1784-527-6014 at RSR Rentals. The choice is here.
Looking for a place to relax with natural cool breeze and friendly surroundings? Then check the Bay Hill Tree Bar, located at Bay Hill Cane Garden. We have everything a bar will have. We also sell Shell 20 pounds cooking gas at the Bay Hill Tree Bar. Bay Hill News Network presents Inside Health, a 30-minute program in which we explore the human body and functions. We'll share real-life stories of the latest in medical science as we look at related diseases, conditions, and determinants of health that affect quality of life.
So join me, Vin Abbott, on Wednesday evenings from 8:30
For Inside Health on Bay Hill News Net.
Yes, good evening to you.
Latest in medical science as we look at related diseases, conditions, and determinants of health that affect quality of life.
So join me, Vin Abbott, on Wednesday evenings from 8:30
For Inside Health on Bay Hill News Net, also on KincadiRadio.info.
Well, special good evening to you. Welcome to Inside Health for today. It's April the 16th, 2025. Okay, I think I'm having a little bit of problem here. Yes, good evening to you. Let me, just a second, please. Good evening to you. Good evening to you, Monty. I hope we are coming through loud and clear with you at this time. Let me make sure I am okay on my end. I believe I am okay. And yes, my friends, welcome to this week's edition of Inside Health. And my name is Vin Abbott, your host in the studio of Kincadi Radio, Toronto, Canada, with Monty Kipper, producer, chief engineer, in the studio of Bay Hill News Network, St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the Southern Caribbean. Sorry about that initial hiccup there. Just got in from work and all of that. But my apologies to you. My bad. Yeah, so welcome to this week's edition of Inside Health. Now, thank you for allowing us into your space at this time. And just to remind you, Inside Health is a radio magazine health information program. It takes a look at the human body, different parts, functions, diseases, and conditions that affect performance. It also explores strategies for possible solutions. In this regard, close attention is paid to the determinants of health, all those factors with which we were born, we grow, we live, and age. We do not diagnose nor prescribe. We, however, make references and may refer if needed and possible. This program is carried live on BayHillNews.net and KincadiRadio.info simultaneously. This week, the foot, has it again as we continue to focus on plantar fasciitis. Yes? And we'll be referencing information from Harvard Medical School, Family Health Guide, Dr. Anthony Kamaroff, Chief Editor, the Mayo Clinic, personal experiences, the Foot Doctor Clinic here in Toronto. Yes, my friends, again, I hope all is well with you and yours, wherever you are listening to us this week. So let's get started. We've been talking about this foot condition, plantar fasciitis, and let's explain a little bit more about this evening. Where is this problem isolated? It's isolated on the sole of the foot, right? And plantar fasciitis, that is built around the word plantar fascia, which is a band of tissue called fascia, or fascia, dependent on how you want to pronounce it. And that band of tissue, the fascia, connects your heel bone to the base of your toes. And it supports the arch of the foot and absorbs a shock when walking. Tension and stress on the fascia can cause small tears. And repeated stretching and tearing of the fascia can irritate or inflame it. Although the cause remains unclear, many causes of plantar fasciitis is there are many causes. In many cases, it's still unclear what causes plantar fasciitis. I'm tying up my tongue this evening. Anyway, let's get going. Now, there are several risk factors associated with this condition. It can develop without any obvious cause. Some factors can increase your risk of developing these conditions. And they include things like, according to Mayo Clinic, this condition is most common in people between the ages of 40 and 60. Well, like I said to you, I am presently being treated for plantar fasciitis, right, at the Foot Doctor Clinic here in Toronto. And one of the things that I do, and we encourage on this program, we encourage our listeners to do, is to always go with questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions of your doctor, your caregiver, or whoever. It's important to go prepared with questions. Or if you have a problem with asking questions of your doctor for whatever reason, for example, if you're living with white coat syndrome, so you go there, you're scared of the doctor, scared of getting bad news, get to your family member, or before you go, write down the questions and bring them along with you. Your questions, or family friend or family member with you to ask questions of your doctor. Very important. So one of the things, of course, that I did, I asked my doctor, right, my podiatrist, well, what's going on here? Can you help me understand more about age? Is because, my age, I'm no longer a teenager or what? And he said to me, and he's much younger than I am, he said, this thing has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with age. That is the original thinking that, like I just read there from Mayo Clinic, 40 and 60, it's really about injury and stretching of the tissue. And when you think about it, my friends, let's be logical, let's be practical. Anyone can stretch the fascia tissue on the sole of the foot. Think about, our young workers, teachers standing for long periods, or barbers, or athletes and others, police officers, nurses, and all those persons who stand for long periods, sometimes without the proper footwear that provides cushioning. They end up with problems related to the fascia. They end up with plantar fasciitis without knowing it, because very often it goes. Normally, at the end of work, you go home, your feet are tired and sore, and all of that. You wash them, you elevate them, you massage them, and you're good to go again. The problem becomes a problem when it becomes chronic, when it becomes debilitating. when you find it difficult to walk and to move, that's when it becomes a problem. You don't want it to reach to that level, my friends. You don't want it to reach that level. And so I'm making the point, this condition, plantar fasciitis, can affect you at any age. And it doesn't matter the sex. Some research shows that certain types of exercise and activities that place a lot of stress on your heel and attached tissue, such as long distance running, ballet dancing, aerobic dance, can contribute to the onset of this condition, plantar fasciitis. So just think about what I just said. While on one hand, it seems to be more common in people between the ages of 40 and 60, but hey, there are certain types of exercises that 40-year-olds and 60-year-olds don't do. Yeah, like ballet dancing from very early, aerobic dancing, yeah, long distance running. Think about it. You understand what I'm saying? So, this is something for us to think about. I would say to you that plantar fasciitis can affect us at any age, based on our activities and other things like our foot mechanics. Some of us have flat feet, some of us have high arch, or even a typical part of walking. They too can affect the way the weight is distributed when we are standing, and this can put added pressure on the plantar fascia. With me still, my friends? Really want you to think about it. I'm trying to explain in a way so that we all can be in this together, because I am experiencing it. I am happy to say that I'm getting the treatment and I'm doing much better than I was doing, say, a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Another factor that contributes to this condition is obesity. Excess pounds put extra stress on our tissue, the tissue of the sole, on the sole of our feet. And like I said a while ago, things like occupations that keep us on our feet, like factory workers, teachers, and others amongst us who spend most of their work hours walking or standing on hard surfaces. And, they are very much predisposed or more exposed to the risk of plantar fasciitis. Does it make sense, my friends? One of the things that I do, and I do encourage people to really ask questions, and it's not only about of our healthcare providers. And in this case, we're talking about the feet, right? And the persons who really should know more about the shoes and all that should fit us and that are best for us are the persons who work in the shoe industry, persons who work in shoe stores and all of that. So over the last couple of weeks, I have been, walking around. Thank goodness I'm able to walk quite well, and checking out some of the stores here that deal with shoes, the shoe stores that sell sneakers in particular, because I love sneakers. I really do. Yeah. And what I think I said this in the last program. What I found is that many of the persons, the representatives, the store workers, and sales representatives, as they are called, are so knowledgeable about their product, the shoes. And this is something I hope for those of you listening on the Hill News Network or wherever, I hope that we can start trying to sort of instill in our business people the need to make sure that our sales representatives are really, really knowledgeable about the products that they're selling. And not to really pull a wool over your eyes, but to really be knowledgeable. Because one of the things I do, I double check and I cross check what people are saying to me. So again, like in last program, I had a conversation with someone in a shoe store here as regards the best possible shoes for somebody dealing with plantar fasciitis. And I got information, I cross-checked with my podiatrist. The information was correct. So before I came on the program today, well, I left work a while ago, but I had time to just slip in to a store just to check out stuff. And I had a conversation with a one of the young sales representatives at religious stores here in Toronto. And he listened to me and he said, you know, sir, I have a theory, you know, with things like plantar fasciitis and high arch and things like that. Human beings are not supposed to be, we're not meant to have high arches. Yeah? We're supposed to be, you know, flat-footed. So I listened to him with intrigue. And then I got into conversation with him. And we got into a conversation about evolution, according to evolution, where man came from, and over time, living creatures developed. So we are from, according to evolution, Homo sapiens, right? Homo sapiens, all right? And the creatures, the living creatures that walk upright. And we, according to evolution, came from Africa over 315,000 years ago. And he was saying to me, that's his theory. We shouldn't be walking with shoes. Shoes have created arches, and because of us wearing shoes over the years, shoes have compressed our feet, so they become narrowed and things like that. That was his theory. And he popped several questions to me. When you're home, do you walk in shoes or do you walk barefooted? Yeah? So we had that conversation, and I said to him, well, I understand what you're saying. If you believe in evolution, you'll see that, yes? But the same way we can talk about intergenerational problems and so on, over time, we have had genetic modification, different genetic expressions. So for those of us of African descent, things like high blood pressure and diabetes are common amongst us, especially high blood pressure, because our genetic expressions have changed. The genes with which our ancestors were born are the same genes we have today, because the way nature has it, from the days of slavery, and there's research to prove that, because we were exposed to all this salted stuff through slavery during the Atlantic journey over 400 years ago, fed salted pork and come into the plantations, fed salted stuff and things like that. And our genetic expressions have changed. So we are more exposed to high blood pressure than any other most other populations. The same thing is likely with our feet over time, because we've been wearing shoes. We're not walking the way we used to, our ancestors used to walk. There have been changes in the way our souls are presenting. I ended by saying to him, my friends, the problem, so that might be so, and something I'll check out. But what do we do to stabilize our feet when we are presented with plantar fasciitis? And that's the problem. If this problem comes about because of excessive stretching and tear in the plantar fascia, then what do we do to reduce, because once there's tear in any tissue, there's going to be inflammation, and the tissues are affected. And if there's any tear, that means that there's going to be some stretching. So what do we do? What do we do to stabilize our feet? This is where diagnosis comes in useful. This is where it's important to see a specialist. This is where it's important to be fitted with the right shoes. For example, some of us have flat feet, some of us have high arches. So what might fit you with flat feet will not fit me with a higher arch. Are you with me, my friends? That won't work. So for example, right, I cannot wear compressive socks because that tends to stretch the plantar fascia. I have to go for an arch or insole that would support my arch, support my heel to prevent the pain and prevent further stretching. Similarly, if we go, say, to a physiotherapist, the physiotherapist would encourage probably things like stretching, exercises, and things like that.
but it doesn't work for everybody. Some physiotherapists might say, well, you need to do calf raise up and down. That is stretching, but that won't work with me. Some mild stretching, yes, but that won't work with me. So it's so important for us to get properly diagnosed, and sometimes, usually there are no tests that are needed, but dependent on what might be concerning you, what the symptoms that you present with, your doctor might suggest X-ray or MRI to make sure another problem, such as stress fracture, is not causing your pain. Some X-ray might show a piece of bone sticking out from the heel bone, and this is called bone spore. And in the past, bone spores, and we'll talk about that in another program, were often blamed for heel pain and removed surgically. But many people who have bone spores on their heels have no heel pain at all. So it's very important. If you're presenting with pain in your feet, especially in the soles of your feet, it's so important for you to really get checked out, see your doctor, and make sure that you are being treated for the right condition and you get the right kind of treatment. Like I said a while ago, you can take medicines to help with the pain, because for many people, persons living with plantar fasciitis, they recover in several months without any sort of a excessive treatment, so to speak. They tend to use things like icing, the painful area, stretching to a certain degree, and modifying or staying away from activities that cause pain. Some people have to resort to medicines like painkillers and other things like that. But there are several therapies out there that are doing well and well researched today. Now, physical therapy is one of them. But like I said, you have to know exactly what the problem is, what you're dealing with. A physiotherapist might be able to show you exercises to stretch the plantar fascia and actually its tendon, and to strengthen the lower leg muscles. A therapist also might teach you to apply athletic taping to support the bottom of your foot. But again, it depends on the kind of foot you have and exactly what is going on with your sole. Some people even recommend things like nice splints, orthotics, prescribed off-the-shelf or custom-fitted arch supports called orthotics to distribute the pressure on your feet more evenly. And that is what I'm waiting on. My orthotics should be in tomorrow from Calgary here in Canada, so I should be fitted either tomorrow or probably Saturday or early Monday, on Monday with them to support, because I don't want to have to go through this again, because it was damage caused by stretching. And like I think I said to you, I was stupid during one of the snowstorms. I went out with ill-fitted shoes and I damaged my sole of my right foot. So it's important for you to see a specialist as far as possible. There's a lot of stuff, ton of stuff on Google. Again, I am leery about using Google. Google would give you information. I want you to hear me, my friends. Google would give you information, it often does, but it doesn't give you the treatment or your treatment, the solution to your problem. Every person's problem is unique. It's an individual problem. The treatment has to be individualistic. So while you see on Google physiotherapy help, that helps, but you don't know. You have to see a specialist if you are dealing with plantar fasciitis. That's my recommendation. I cannot prescribe, but that's my recommendation. That's what I'm referring to you on this program. There are other forms of treatment available. Again, I don't know if they're available down there on St. Vincent and the Grenadines, like injections, steroid medicine that are injected into the tender area, and they can provide some temporary pain relief. And multiple shots aren't recommended because they can weaken your plantar fascia and possibly cause it to rupture. Again, somebody might tell you we'll get a steroid injection, but who knows if that will work with you? Yeah? Shockwave therapy. Some waves are directed at the area of the heel pain to stimulate healing. This is for chronic plantar fasciitis that hasn't responded to more conservative treatments. Some studies show promising results, though this therapy hasn't been shown to be consistently that is effective. Well, it worked for me. I've had 3 sessions of shockwave. Yeah? 3 shockwave therapies. And I can now walk with ease. I can now get out of bed, stand without pain because of that. Because it's accumulative. 1 shot won't do. You have 2 shots, 3 shots. It's like a vaccination. It's not vaccination, but it works the same way, where there's an accumulative effect. And I'm happy for that. Now I'm going to make sure that I support my tendons, my soul, not my tendons, my fascia, by having the right footwear with aid from inserts. There's also the option, another option is the ultrasonic tissue repair. I've seen the machine. And this is minimally invasive technology, and it uses ultrasound imaging to guide a needed light probe into the damaged plantar fascia tissue. The probe tip then vibrates rapidly to break up the damaged tissue, which is suctioned out. All these are therapies that are available. They're available to me, and I'm using them. You have surgery as well, which is more radical. Few people need surgery to detach the plantar fascia from the heel bone. It is really an option only when the pain is serious and other treatments are failed. It can be done as an open procedure or through small incision with local anesthesia. Friends, I want to stay here tonight as regards plantar fascia and treatments and the way forward with this condition. My recommendation to you, if you're really feeling a lot of pain in your sole, in your heels or in your arch and all that, and it's going on and on, I'm strongly encouraging you, yes, to see your doctor. It would be nice if you can see a podiatrist. It would be really nice. It would be nice also if you can see a physiotherapist who is open-minded around the different options available to you. What I would suggest, whoever you see, I would suggest you ask some of these basic questions. Right? Whoever your caregiver is, chiropractor or physiotherapist or podiatrist or a general practitioner or surgeon, whoever. Ask these questions of your caregiver, my friends. What's likely causing my symptoms? What test do I need? Is my condition likely to be temporary or chronic? Temporary will go away quickly, chronic will linger. What's the best course of action? Are there other treatment options than the one you're suggesting? Are there restrictions I need to follow? Yeah? Like how much you stand on your feet, how much exercise you do, what kind of footwear, flat or high heel or medium heel, things like that. Would cold compress do well as against heat? And I believe in cold compress. It works to get rid of inflammation, contrary to what the traditional thinking, original thinking was. Are there brochures or the printed material I can have? What websites do you recommend? Very important question. Again, Google gives you a lot of information. It will not give you the specific answer to your condition. That is something that I believe in strongly. Yes, it's good information that will help you to explore more, and then you now can have a conversation and process, yes, with your caregiver. When you go to the doctor, your caregiver is likely to ask questions like, do your symptoms tend to occur at a specific time of day or night? What types of shoes do you usually wear? He or she might even ask you to walk around. Of course, you go to a foot doctor, you have to take off your shoes, right? Take off your socks. What kind of socks do you wear? Do you wear wool, cotton? What do you wear? Do you wear slippers, flippers all day long? And come into the foot doctor not expecting, to have foot pain? Are you a runner? Do you take part in any sports that involve running? Do you have a physically demanding job? Have you had problems with your feet before? Do you feel pain anywhere besides your feet? What if anything at all seems to improve your symptoms? What if anything appears to worsen your symptoms? These are about some of the questions you should be prepared to answer when you visit your doctor. Go prepared to ask questions. Go prepared to be asked questions, my friends. Again, plantar fasciitis is very debilitating in the chronic stage. On a daily basis, many of us end up with, soreness and tiredness on the feet, and because the tissue, the plantar fascia has been stretched and worn. But if it's really damaged and torn and become inflamed, has not dealt with sooner rather than later, you can end up with serious pain in the heel or in the arch or even the ball of the foot. You don't want that, my friends. I don't want it for you. I do not want it for you. Friends, on that note, we say goodbye from this week's program, Inside Health. Again, must apologize for the initial hiccups, rushed in, and all of that. But all good. Monty, thank you so much for being there. I know you're very busy with all stuff related to Easter, Holy Week, Easter, and all of that. Thank you so much for being available for us tonight on tonight's program. Friends, don't go anywhere. Stay with Bay Hill News Network and Kankadi Radio. Old Time Story with Vin Abbott is coming up very shortly. Once again, thank you, and do take care of your feet, my friends. Do take care of your feet. Massage them, ice them down, massage them. For example, you can get a bottle of water, freeze it, and roll your foot on it. That massages it. Cold would help to reduce inflammation, and just roll it to massage it nicely. You don't have to have plantar fasciitis to do that. A good foot massage, on a daily and nightly basis or whatever, certainly would be a nice way to say thank you to your feet. On that note, Mr. Megan, until next Wednesday. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you, Nanti, for being there. Vin Abbott with Old Time Story, come up in 5. Stay with us, my friends.
Inside Health, 30-minute program in which we explore the human body and functions. We'll share real-life stories of the latest in medical science as we look at related diseases, conditions, and determinants of health that affect quality of life. So join me, Vin Abbott, on Wednesday evenings from 8:30 for Inside Health on Bay Hill News Net, also on KankadiRadio.info.
The SBG Association of Ottawa, in collaboration with SBG Associations of Massachusetts and Montreal and the National Council of SBG Associations UK, will be hosting a Zoom on Sunday, April 27th, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. UK time. Topic: going back to our roots, the screening of Gary Funa film, crafting our indigenous memory by Ashley Alton. Features: remarks by Her Excellency Luan Gilchrist, SBG's High Commissioner to Canada, Gary Funa reflection from international presenters, a conversation on the Hub Collective Bushti project, and Ashley himself, a Q&A plus entertainment on the program hosted by Nicole Hendrickson. The Zoom on April 27th is free, but you must register today at Defi.com/going back to our roots screening of Gary Funa film, or on SBG Association of Ottawa's Facebook page. See you there.
When in Antigua, travel with Auburn Bully Bus services between Pigot's Village and St. John's on Old Firearm Road. We also conduct island tours 7 days per week, all in comfort, style, and safety. For more information, contact Auburn Bully 1268-764-2869. That's 1268-764-2869. Looking for a place to relax with natural cool breeze and friendly surroundings? Then check the Bay Hill Tree Bar. Located at Bay
Bay Hill Cane Garden. We have everything a bar will have. We also sell 20 pounds of cooking gas at the Bay Hill Tree Bar.
Every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. you will hear a old-time story by Vin Abbott on
BayHillNews.net.
Hello, good night, everyone. This is a continuation of the story called The Village, taken from the book.
No, it's not.
Every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. you will hear a old-time story by Vin Abbott on
BayHillNews.net.
Every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. you will hear a old-time story by Vin Abbott on
BayHillNews.net.
Hello, good night, everyone. Tonight we are continuing the story called The Village, taken from the book The Journey of a West Indian Soul by Isabel Lewis. It was a tradition on the island that 9 days before Christmas, some villagers would get out of bed in the early morning to attend the parties in the villages. 2 days before Christmas, the villagers flocked to the grocery stores to make their largest grocery purchases of the year. The villagers baked their Christmas goodies on Christmas Eve, when a drum oven heated with a wood fire could be seen in almost every yard. Butchers in the village slaughtered more animals on Christmas Eve than they did on any other occasion. Villagers flocked to the butcher stalls to purchase meat for the big feast the following day. We also walked through the village on the night of Christmas Eve to admire the curtains hung in the windows of village houses. Unlike the American custom of having the drapes and curtains for years, it was customary for the people of my island to buy or make new curtains for their homes each Christmas. They began decorating their houses for Christmas on Christmas Eve. The arrival of Christmas Day was quite an experience for children like me, whose parents insisted we get ourselves out of bed to attend the church. But it was the merriest day for us too. After church, we roamed the village, visiting relatives, friends, and neighbors, and eating whatever food they offered us. On Christmas Day, our parents cooked the most food of any day of the year. Yet, most of us were unable to eat at our homes because we were so full of the food we had been given at other homes in the village. A group of men played their guitars and drums, eating and drinking as they visited home after home, with the younger children following and dancing to their music. Most of the men and some of the women got drunk on Christmas Day, and some children witnessed the drunkenness of parents as I did. Christmas Day was a day when most of the villagers, young and old alike, seemed happy regardless of the poverty in which some of us lived. Boxing Day, the day after Christmas, was another big holiday celebrated by the island people. They partied in the village, picnicked on the beach, or went on outings to visit some of our historical landmarks, such as the volcano La Soufrière. On New Year's Eve, which we call Old Year's Day, our parents did a thorough house cleaning and washed every piece of dirty clothing. It was believed that if New Year's Day should find you with dirty clothing and an untidy house, your house would remain untidy for the rest of the year. After all the hard work of All Year's Day, most villagers flocked to their churches at night. At midnight, the fervor reached a climax as people prayed and sang louder than ever, welcoming the new year. While most people were in church, others, mostly young men, became troublemakers, walking the roads, searching for unoccupied old houses, and demolishing them with their bare hands. After all the praying and singing of the night before, as well as the mischief, most of the villagers celebrated on New Year's Day, as they had on Boxing Day. Carnival Day was another nationally celebrated holiday, observed memorably in my village. Carnival days, the last Monday and Tuesday before the beginning of Lent, were marked by fun and frolic. In each village, a group of men playing drums followed a leader who was naked except for tiny loincloth. He was painted with black charcoal and face and body to give him the appearance of a monkey, and he had a man-made tail tied to his buttocks. We call him the Monkey Man. As the drummers played on, the Monkey Man attempted to rub his charcoal-covered body against adults, at the same time frightening the children. Some children, as well as some adults, were able to escape the Monkey Man, but others were not so lucky. Those who stood admiring his performance were expected to drop some money into his hands, after which he would leave them alone. On Carnival Day, children and adults alike disguised themselves by dressing like members of the opposite sex. They covered their faces with masks, carried a closed shoebox in their hands, and approached other villagers. In disguised voices, they would ask whether the villager would like to see what was in the shoebox. Upon receiving suitable payment, the disguised person would open the shoebox and display its contents. Sometimes it contained a doll or another object, but many times there was absolutely nothing in the box. All this was done in the name of tradition and fun. Besides these national holidays for which we had our own special traditions, there were other days, like the harvest season, which were not holidays, but which still had traditional activities of their own. Harvest season was celebrated mostly in the churches during the months of October and November. On any given Sunday, a church or two would host an entertainment program. The parishioners participated in the program with singing performances, and their children often recited poetry. Parishioners also donated baked goods and produce to be sold at the end of the program. People attended these programs well dressed in new clothing. At the conclusion, those who had attended the program as well as those who had not flocked to the outside of churches to places where sales were held, purchasing whatever was for sale. The money generated by sales of the donated goods went for the benefit of the church. Harvest time was another time of fun. At this time, people visited different churches to participate in either the harvest program or the harvest sales, and many participated in both. Children enjoyed harvest time too. Besides supporting their churches, villagers also got together to support one another in times of mourning. When someone died in the village, other villagers gathered in the bereaved family's yard to give comfort to the surviving relatives. Most people died at home. One who died by 9 o'clock in the morning was usually buried at 4 o'clock the same day. Someone in the village took the responsibility of bathing the deceased person, and village carpenters, all men, made the coffin. As payment for making the coffin, the family of the deceased provided the carpenters with food and alcoholic beverages. After the deceased had been washed and dressed, the body was placed in the uncovered coffin. 6 men carried the coffin into the yard and laid it on 6 chairs for viewing. The villagers gathered to view the body. their Bibles, hymn books, and wreaths in their hands. They sang songs like Jerusalem, My Happy Home, expressing the sentiment that they themselves would one day meet up again with the dead person wherever in the beyond. Stirred by these sad songs, most of the relatives of the deceased cried openly, sometimes in loud wailing voices. The people would continue with their singing until a preacher arrived from the village. The preacher would read something from the Bible, and then the men would close the coffin. 6 men would lift the coffin and carry it 2 miles to the burial ground in the village, as the preacher and the congregation followed behind. Its final resting place was the open grave in the burial ground, dug by some of the village men. The men laid the coffin on 6 chairs, which formed the side of a platform beside the open grave. The congregation continued with their singing until the preacher signaled for them to stop. At this point, the preacher read more verses from the Bible and then signaled the men to lower the coffin into the open grave. As the men lowered the coffin into the grave, again the relatives of the deceased began to cry in wailing voices. The relatives cried and shouted, "Oh God, you're dead and me not go see you again. Oh God, me not go, me not go, not go." Some of them give the impression of wanting to jump into the grave with the coffin, but I never heard of anyone who actually did it. Others fell to the ground in a swoon and had to be helped to their feet. After the coffin had been lowered into the grave, the preacher read more verses from the Bible. Then the congregation, the mourners, and the preacher took some sand in their hands. When the minister spoke the words, "Dust to dust, ashes to ashes," all threw the sand into the grave at the same time. The grave diggers then filled the hole with sand. Before they left the burial ground, the congregation and the preacher laid flowers and wreaths on the grave. But the burial ceremony was not the end for relatives. I also remember from childhood what took place afterward. For a period of 40 days, some villagers gathered at night at the home of the deceased to support the grieving relatives. What the support was that they gave to the grieving relatives at night was beyond my comprehension. They were there nonetheless. It was the 3rd, 9th, and 40th nights that were the most memorable. On the 3rd night, more than the usual crowd gathered for a prayer meeting. This was supposedly the night when the departed would rise from the grave like Jesus to join him in heaven. The people prayed and sang. Sometime during the commotion, the praying and singing escalated. Members of the religion, heads tied with white cloths, held lighted candles in their hands. All of a sudden, they began speaking in what were referred to as unknown tongues. They swayed their bodies in rhythm as one of the members rang a bell again and again. These rituals were supposed to indicate that the deceased person had risen from the dead and was present among them at the prayer meeting. Although the departed was supposed to be present, no one ever claimed to have seen him or her. After the prayer meeting, the participants stayed on for the food. The family fed the congregation with cocoa tea, ginger beer, bread, or small buns. On the 9th and the 40th nights, villagers celebrated the memorial of the deceased in the same way. But these celebrations were not the final way in which the living dealt with the death of their loved ones. On the night of November 2nd each year, the villagers weeded the graves of their loved ones prior to placing 20 or more lighted candles on them. Most of the villagers stayed at the gravesites into the night, keeping watch over the candles until they had burned to the ground. As children, we would walk through the burial ground on that night and steal candles from the graves when no one was watching. At any moment, someone might scream, "Oh God, the thief me candle!" as others focused their attention on the screamer, leaving their own candles unattended. We stole candles from those people too. We did this all for fun. Other relatives did not go to the burial ground, but instead lit fake candles on the outdoor steps of their yards. Those are my memories of my village from the early years of my childhood. I also remember many other things about my family and my family's yard. And this will be heard in our next episode, My Family's Yard. Good night, everyone.
Every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. you will hear a old